Stranger Things Season 4 trailer explained. Wow, wow, wow. That trailer was intense. I feel I've not seen a trailer as good as that in such a long time. It had an Avengers Endgame feeling about it. So let's take a look and see who this new villain is, and pick out all of the important details we need to know. So, here is Stranger Things Season 4 trailer explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The first shot of the trailer looked like it opened up following on from what happened at the end of Season 3, where we saw Hopper sacrifice himself for the greater good. We hear a voice echoing out saying, "You've ruined everything." This is alluding to the gate not completely opening like it was planned to at the end of the last season. We also hear "Your suffering is almost at an end," whilst focusing on the grandfather clock that seems to have some importance. I personally think there's going to be an element of time being broken in this season, especially due to some of the shots later on in the trailer which looked like Eleven and other characters were in the past, and they definitely weren't old shots from the archive. We then cut to Max over the grave of her brother Billy, who was one of many that were killed at the end of last season, and she was reading him a letter, which tied into the previous trailer where Eleven was writing a letter to Mike. So maybe he had recommended her do that to Billy to make herself feel a little bit better. We saw Eleven with Will in a new high school, and it looked as though they were struggling to fit in due to the cold responses they were getting from others. Max mentioned about trying to be normal but not being able to, and we then again saw the grandfather clock in the wall. I think this symbolizes another break and a potential gate between reality and the world of the Upside Down, but here with elements that almost transport you through time. We saw shots of Hopper alive, but wouldn't say well, and he's in a prison in a completely different country, derelict, remote, and with extreme weather conditions. We saw that he was locked in a facility that was surrounded by barbed wire and guards, and we know for a fact that they have Demogorgons and Demodogs, to the point where it looked like we saw Hopper or somebody there fighting one, but that happened later on. It looks like they're almost trying to build an army of these demo creatures. We go on to hear the harrowing words of a war is coming, and that the group in Hawkins are in the eye of the storm. And with that, we see them investigating, but the sad news that Eleven still doesn't have her powers. We hear that the war will be lost if she doesn't get her powers back. She's vital to the success of the victory. And it's here where she goes off in a van looking sad, with Mike looking off in the distance. I think she's going off to a testing facility where she can try to channel her powers again, like what she did with Brenna when she was younger. This again ties into later on in the trailer. This would be a moment that would be connected to the first season and would provide a full circle moment. After this, it cuts to black, and then flying Demogorgons appear. More specifically, I think they're going to be called Demobats. Something we've not seen before, but I imagine they'll be completely petrifying. They look it at least. A ground threat and an aerial threat. With the iconic red flashes of light from the Upside Down, it provided a dramatic, stylistic, and exciting moment with the music hitting a crescendo moment. Afterwards, we saw Steve and Nancy looking like they were about to head to the Upside Down when they said, "See you on the other side," and there being emphasis on that phrase when Nancy repeated it. Hopper was clearly not in communication with anybody, and believed he'd been put out there for a specific purpose and doesn't think he's getting out of there alive, especially when he said he wants to do something, even if it's the last thing he does. We then hear how every ending has a beginning, and this definitely symbolized that. The trailer embodied everything I feel we're going to get in an epic finale. We then cut to Max flying in the air over Billy's grave. It almost looks like an exorcism moment, something we've not seen before. This could mean that she could potentially hold some powers that Eleven has. I don't know how she channeled it, but it looks like she's going to be a pivotal part in fighting the war. We saw Billy adopt some powers before he died in the last season, or at least got possessed, so maybe beyond the grave he's able to give her some abilities. After this, we then got to see the identity of the main villain. This is clearly the Thanos of Stranger Things, the being that has been behind all of it, and he looked utterly petrifying. The phrase, "You have lost," is spoken so hauntingly, which I think is going to be taken from later on in the season, or maybe at the end of part 1 where it looks as though he's got the upper hand. The villain appears to be connected to something when looking at his appearance. Tentacle-like things come off of it, and it has the visual look of a skeleton or skull. A bit of a Ghost Rider Soul Edge from Soul Calibur in visual appearance. It's things horror movies are made of. I can't wait to get to know the villain more in the season, as I feel the Demogorgons have been so powerful. However, this villain is going to far outstrength them. I predict that he's the ruler of the Upside Down and has been behind everything that we've seen through the show thus far. We don't know what his intentions are, but I feel he definitely wants the Upside Down to take over reality, and for the gate to open up and remain open, allowing him to take over the world, rendering him ruler. It's essentially going to be a war of the worlds, and we won't know who will win, if Eleven will get her powers back, and if Hopper will reunite in some way or another. We'll have to wait and see, but thankfully we only have until the end of May for Part 1 to be released. I can't wait. What did you think of this trailer? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.